Yesterday, an Ohio judge permanently blocked the Buckeye State's heartbeat bill and other pro-life protections, and basically he just said that the state laws now violate a constitutional amendment that was passed by Ohio voters last year. And some of the protections are just simply common sense things, but now they cannot be applied. Things like having a doctor check for a baby's heartbeat before performing an abortion. Things like informing parents when their babies are viable. Things like waiting 24 hours after seeing a doctor before undergoing an abortion that obviously is going to kill the baby. These are common sense type measures. But now a judge has determined all of these are unconstitutional in the state of Ohio. And as we have 10 different states now that are considering various types of abortion initiatives on their ballots coming in November, what kind of warning should be sent to those states as a result of what has happened now in Ohio? Well, joining me now from Ohio to discuss this is Aaron Baer. He's the president of the Center for Christian Virtue. Aaron, thanks for joining us. Great to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Jody.
All right, so what's your reaction to this judge's decision, specifically the call to strike down various pro-life provisions that would not block an abortion, they're just pro-life provisions?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, it's just heartbreaking, right? I mean, at the end of the day, all of us in the pro-life movement are involved in this fight because we care about the little ones that God has knit together in the womb. And so at the end of the day, this decision made by this judge is going to cost tens of thousands of lives in Ohio. It's also frustrating because we spent last year fighting to educate voters about the true radical nature of a constitutional amendment that was proposed. And we were fighting millions of dollars from foreign-backed entities and the media and all of their disinformation about the implications of this abortion amendment. And this is the first domino to fall of many to come, of not just restricting and the state's ability to limit dangerous late-term abortions and really any abortions for that matter, but also common sense health and safety regulations. Jody, you kind of referred to these things. There's ongoing litigation in other cases around requirements that says that only doctors are allowed to do abortions. You can't have non-doctors performing abortions, and stripping away protections on chemical abortions. Those types of things are all at risk now because of this abortion amendment.
So you referred to this, and I think it's a great word picture of this being a domino effect, or at least a potential domino effect. And of course, this judge's decisions reflects the change to the Ohio Constitution that was enacted last year. But now we have voters in 10 different states that are facing similar type ballot initiatives here in the next couple of weeks. Should they look to Ohio now as a warning for what potentially could happen in their states?
That's absolutely right. I think the big thing is what you see happening in these other states is a very similar playbook to the one they put out here in Ohio. Where the ads they would say is, oh, this is about rape and incest abortions, or this is about these really obscure cases around abortion. And don't get me wrong, every abortion is wrong and takes the life of a child. But the media was really deflecting what was happening. And we spent a lot of time here in Ohio trying to say, no, here's the true reality of it. Well, I think now for states like Arizona, like Florida, like Nebraska, all these states that have these abortion amendments before them, they can now look to Ohio and see the bait and switch that they pulled here in the state. And hopefully they can change course. And I will say in states like Florida and Arizona and Nebraska in particular, those three, they have some advantages built in for them right now that gives me some hope they'd have the ability to win. And hopefully what's happening here, the ugly and devastating truth of what's actually happening in Ohio because of this abortion amendment can give those pro-lifers a little bit more ammunition to get the truth out there.
Yeah, a great point. And, I referenced a journalist, I don't have the name, but referring to Ohio now as an abortion Mecca. That's pretty strong terminology, and specifically noting the non-resident abortions have doubled in Ohio. Again, your thoughts on that issue, and I'm sure, again, you would say the same thing for the other states to take warning, because this is coming for those other 10 states as well if they're not careful.
Yeah, I mean, really, Ohio, unfortunately, is in a really tough place because we're surrounded by so many other states. Indiana is a very pro-life state, but Cincinnati is just right over the border there, right? Same thing, Cincinnati and Kentucky, that whole tri-state area are very close to one another. And so now we've only seen the numbers from 2023. We haven't seen the numbers from this year, and it's going to be even worse. And again, is this the type of thing people want their state to be known for? Is that this is the place you come for your daughter, where your daughters can be taken to get abortions without your knowledge or consent. That's the reality of how radical these abortion laws are. And what's happening to the Buckeye State. And this is, for us, the beginning of telling the true story of this abortion amendment, hopefully to get voters to see that they've gone down a dangerous and deadly path and that we need to pull back.
Absolutely. I think viewers and listeners alike, probably some of them at least, will remember you and I spoke about this here on Washington Watch before all this was happening in Ohio. But now it's happened. You're dealing with it. Your final thoughts, especially to those voters in 10 states that are dealing with similar measure, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we have to focus on the things, the truth of these abortion amendments, right? Telling the really radical nature of what they do. And also, again, continue to stand on principle about the value of every unborn life, the sanctity, the dignity, the beauty of children. That message is so important. We need to continue to carry it no matter what happens with these abortion amendments. I think another thing too, though, Jody, that's just as important is that you're seeing right now the left try to use the abortion issue to attack candidates, to try to get them to back off of their stance for their pro-life views. And really, you're seeing those messages really failing. People like Bernie Moreno here in Ohio running for U.S. Senate. Sherrod Brown's running nonstop ads attacking Bernie for being pro-life. And Bernie's pulling ahead in the polls. So for political leaders, you need to hold fast to what you know is true. And for the pro-life activists out there, you need to continue to get out there and expose, because you can win these things. I really do feel good
Absolutely.
about looking in these other states.
Life is a winning message. It really is.
Amen.
People just have to understand it. Thank you, Aaron Baer from the Center for Christian Virtue. Always great to see you. Thank you for coming on the program and for your incredibly powerful stance. We appreciate it.
Grateful for you, Jody, and all of FRC.